Okay, so we have. Okay, so this is from Sir Duck. Sir Duck and Company. Dave and Lacey traveling across. Last I heard they were in El Paso heading for Arizona. And then we got Kent, and we have Joshua, and we have Larry, and we have Ed, and we have Josh again, and Glenn, and Joshua again, and then we have Robert, and then we have Steve Wiggin jumped in there. Okay, so we're in. It is currently 91 degrees here, 96 in Yuma. Boy, they must be happy. Um, Supposed to be up to 105, 107 by next Friday. Let's. Yes, David focus on the road, and Lacey, you can play it the phone, and then you can message what David wants to message as he drives. Um, that way, no accidents, and you guys get here safe. You guys have to be in probably New Mexico, probably by now. Watch out for the jumping cactus. Oh, am I safe in your studio? Well, yeah, but it's very warm in here. Too early to put the AC on, but we are 2 hours from Superior. Okay, so you crossed the border. Uh, oh, howdy from Dennis in Washington State. 7 inches of snow. Well, that wouldn't happen here. Like I said, it's 91 degrees. It's been warm all day. It's heating up. We're having some sort of record-breaking weird heat thing going into next week. So we'll be in triple digits next week, which is spring break. And of course, a bunch of us were like, hey, let's go out in the mountain. Well, we can do this, we can do that. So the whole idea was next week was going to be intermittently some trips doing stuff. And now it's going to be triple digits. Way too early in the season, and I don't know. Mic volume is kind of low. The mic volume is fine. It's you turn it up. I can lean in closer, but it is what it is. I'm also talking very low. Yuma, there's Ben Wade. Okay, there. 310 to Yuma reference. So there we go. Thumping the doggy. Hey, Jax. Jax has joined us. He's saying it's too hot as well. It's too hot to lay out front in this. It's just way too much. So there we go. Treasure Hunt of the Year Awards Sunday. So we're almost there. Everything should be fine. Hopefully fine. Not quite sure. Haven't heard anything. So that's kind of makes you nervous too, that I've heard nothing. So far as I know, everything's on point, but yes, and I have the awards, so the awards are sitting in a box in my garage. But other than that, and the confirmations all went out. Hey, Dallas. So I have no idea. What time is the show Sunday? It's not a show. We meet at 5 p.m. and kind of get together, and then dinner gets served, and then we have the award show. It's usually kind of things move quite right along. We kind of get together, run around a bit, and then we start doing the handing out of the plaques, I guess. The ceremony. I guess it's a ceremony. But yeah, it doesn't take too long. More of us getting together, chit-chatting, and then afterwards out on the patio. Might be definitely a nice night to be on the patio at the Mammoth, because it's definitely going to be warm. Hi, Wayne. I see Johnsonville makes a Dr. Pepper bratwurst, I'm saying. I don't know. I don't like anything mixed. I'm not a vanilla Coke, cherry Coke guy. I tried the vanilla Dr. Pepper and the cherry Dr. Pepper. I don't like it when they mix things up. I think that's kind of a weird thing. If I want something, I want the flavor it is. Don't want these other things, you know? If I want... I will take a Hershey's bar with almonds. That's fine. But I don't want, like, all these variations. So, when you have something that works, just stick with it. Why they gotta mess with stuff? Which is pretty much the world we live in anymore, right? Anytime something works and it gets, they gotta, yeah, bratwurst. Yeah, I just don't know about a bratwurst Dr. Pepper. So I don't mind in my barbecue if there's whiskey and something to flavor the barbecue sauce. But, well, that's a little different. I saw they put a lot of fence up. Peralta moved all the parking. Yes, the parking is gone from the Kearney Springs, which was, they pointed out, was never an official parking lot. It was just one that they put posts and stuff in, but it was never a trailhead. The Kearney Springs trailhead actually starts at the Lost Gold Mine Trail, but they closed it down, and then they put that fencing up, which was a requirement in the head of paving the road, which should get paved in 2027, I'm thinking. Anyways, there's a lot to go on with all that. So yeah, they started doing that back in December and January, and as we did Discovery Camp, we were watching it each week, more and more and more, fencing going up, and they put a cattle guard up at the Lost Gold Mine Trail. There's another cattle guard, I can't remember where it's at, but yeah, they've done a few things. They're getting that done, so that's changing. We'll see what it is. I don't know if they're taking the fence. I have a feeling they're not going to take the fence down, which means it's kind of, I don't know how much. There was free grazing to the north side of Peralta for the Donnellys. I guess that would be, they wouldn't have the open free grazing to cross back and forth. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work for everybody. We did have a meeting with the Pinal County directors, or Jeff Surdy, and there was a representative from the Quarter Circle U, and I asked a little. They didn't, they've been trying to keep people out of their property, their private property, so they weren't too. But I don't know how they're all gonna like it. It's just gonna cause some issues, I'm sure, but it shouldn't for the Quarter Circle U, because most of their cattle would be staying east, should be staying east, even though some of them do wander out down the road. So I'm sure there'll be another cattle guard, so it'll keep their cattle in their area easier to round up better, maybe. I don't know. I'm sure it's been discussed at meetings. Trying some Dr. Pepper favorite Slim Jims. Okay, I don't know. I haven't had a Slim Jim in a long time. Anyhow, so there we are, and there we be, and here we are, and that's that. And it's very hot. Like I said, it's pretty warm in here. There's no air movement. I think that's what it is. There's no air movement. If I turn on a fan in here, it'll be really loud on the mic, and people say I'm talking low, so that'd be problematic. Got to come up with a little fan or something before summer, which I didn't expect summer to be in mid-March. All right, Mr. Roosevelt, just how he felt when he heard the dry come through, okay? If your liquors swell up in your head. Okay. I noticed that Mysteries of the Superstitions is hashing well, they've been rehashing for freaking years. Where have you been? Are there problems over there? Well, half of them are dead. I'm sorry, that's mean. Let's see, Charlie LeSueur's dead. Hank Sheffer's dead. Jack Sanfelice quit. He got mad at him and quit and walked away at least 4 years ago. So everything with Jack for the last 4 years has not been, that's just them recutting video from him. The only person they had was Hedrick, the Snake Hedrick. So Larry the Snake Hedrick. And now they're putting the director of the museum in shorts and stuff, Eileen. They've been redoing the same old thing, same old for at least 2 or 3 years. They were doing it right from the beginning. They just what they did was they were doing Tom Collenborn's articles from the Chronicles, just selected ones that they'd printed. And I don't know if they know that Tom did those articles for years, so there's a lot of stuff. But that's why you always used to see them looking down, because they were reading. They'd just actually read Tom's stuff direct. But they ran out of Tom's stuff. They really had no personal stories because none of them were really Dutch hunters. And that was kind of the end of it. Charlie died, and then Jack quit, and Hank died, and then they were just left with Larry. And that's been where they're at. I think I think they just ran out of steam a long time ago, but they just, I don't know. I never understood their content, because Charlie LeSueur told me originally, he said, I'm going to do this, so this is the factual, this is the truth. None of this mythological folklore bullshit. We're going to do just purely the facts. And Charlie and I talked about it before he even did it. And then he did it, and I was like kind of curious, and I said, it's not what you said it was. And he said, well, and I said, I actually do more of what you wanted to do than you're doing. And that's when we talked about, which I've talked about before, we were meeting in the barn. They were doing one of those things where they have all the guys that used to be at Apache land that you can't remember and never remember being in a single film. They had those guys lined up, and Charlie was there with them like they were celebrities. And then it's funny, they all asked me for work. They all were saying, hey, do you think you can get me on television? Do you think next time, can you put a good word in for me for stuff? Because they all really desperately wanted to be on something, and I was the only person in the room. I wasn't signing stuff. I was just standing there saying hello to people, and, like walking through, and they all wanted me to get them work, which was weird. And I was kind of like, I don't know, that's not my thing, And so then Charlie and I talked about doing something where we'll do something similar. You can film your version of it, I can film my version of it, and we'll cross over, and that'd be kind of cool, maybe. And that was kind of one of the last times we talked. We talked that, and because I said, hey, you're doing what you're doing. I'm not sure what you're doing. And we were cool. And I was working on the thing that was the spiral stuff, because his family were integral to Mesa. And we were like, well, we're going to have to figure out how to get Charlie involved in this little, because he doesn't know any of it. I think he would have got a kick out of some of the family history involved. And we saved a lot of that back, but then he died. Didn't mean to laugh, but he died, so that kind of made that a moot point, and that just erased all that. And then David Jones is working with guns. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. I have no idea. He does little gun videos. He's always done those. They don't get views or anything. I don't know. I have no idea. I've talked to him maybe 3 or 4 times. He's always lurking. He lurked behind Charlie. He lurks behind Jack. He come to things and just lurks. And then he sent me a message or an email once saying, hey, we should get together and work. And I'm thinking, I bred my own cinematographer. Yeah, he's working on a doctorate. He has a master's in filmmaking and editing and producing. Why would I work with you and split anything with you? I got my own. And so I didn't really understand what his pitch was, and I won't go into the whole weirdness of it, but you can do YouTube where you just do it, let it be kind of natural. Everything just does what it does. You don't pay for viewers, you don't pay for bots, you don't pay for anything, and do things in a natural, easy system. And we've done very, very well like that. Like I've told somebody recently, what you see in views is not necessarily what you get in views. It could be way more, it could be way less. There's all kinds of little different things in the algorithms. And what YouTube's most important algorithm is watch time, which our channel on watch time does really, really well, which surprised me. It means people start and watch the whole thing through, and their watch time is not made public because I don't think they want you to see it. If it's bots and it's meant just to get views on the algorithm, it would be like 60 seconds, 70 seconds just to get views, and a bunch of people in India watch it, which also explains why views will do this. Ours will kind of stay where it is, and then it'll have a bounce when something goes more viral, like the Lizard Man or this or that. Plus, we have multiple different types of shows. We had we have Chasing Legends. We have the Legend of Superstition Mountain stuff. We have this Legends Live stuff. We got the when we do the old films and that stuff, which we haven't done that for a while, but that used to be on Fridays occasionally, and Thursdays. And then we got the shorts. So we have these multiple, they're different like types of programs, and we just organize it and do it a certain way. And I just see all the with theirs. And again, getting back to it is, yes, they just started taking what they filmed and then re-editing and redoing it over and over and over and over. And I don't know. I mean, new content is everything. And I always worry about even a story. I've not done stories because it's too similar to another story, and I don't want people to think, oh, I'm trying to use something I pull out of the files that I can find something on. There are occasionally really good ones that I know got to be fake, but I stay away from AI. I stay away from all that stuff, and I don't think they do AI because they would have new content. But yeah, and I don't mean it as a slam on them. It's just they had a limited problem. They didn't have historians. They didn't have anybody who could do the narratives. They didn't have me, and they didn't have anyone like that to do, and they went that direction, and that was a mistake. You don't. Charlie kind of did an interview show where he went over, and I don't know if you've ever watched the first ones. It was Charlie interviewing somebody. Then they tried to do different things. They tried to copy me, basically, doing storytelling. It kind of did okay, but they were just telling someone else's other written story, and they were basically reading it and doing it. And Jack had a few originals of his own, kind of, but it just is what it is. So, they'll do whatever. No black hats in summer. You always wear the black hats. Go bald quicker. It's a genetic thing. It's not a black hat thing. Sorry. Okay, we got through that. How's Ron Feldman doing? As far as I know, he's doing fine. I talked to him a week or so ago. He was doing fine. I watched your archive video of Tom Kay about the Dutchman. He mentioned a story about 3 Mexican miners' mine. It sometimes intertwines. Yeah, and Tom had some good stuff. You got to remember, and the only thing I hated about the archive stuff, and you hate sometimes with the older stuff, is people's mindsets change and the stories change. But those were primarily because it was stuff that was out there. And there's more. We got to dig out of more. We got a bunch more stuff. We just haven't ever had the time to go through it and separate it because a lot of it was on it was transferred very poorly, unfortunately. But stuff was transferred, and then there was copies of copies, and what we got is really just terrible versions of stuff. I really love to find the original 8mm, 16mm of some of this stuff and see if we can clean it up a little. But yeah, it's just, there's some stuff from Andy Sinbad in the 20s or 30s, and I wish we have it. I just wish I could find it. We got, like I said, we got tons of stuff. Hey Wayne, what can you tell us about Jacob Weiser? I saw the name in passing earlier. Okay, well, that's the Jacob Weiser thing is there's a Weiser, there's a Weisner, and there's a Weiss. Well, Jacob Weiss lived in Prescott. He did file on the gross load about the time Waltz was in there, and Waltz had a share of the gross load. It's very odd that Jacob Waltz or Weiss. They said he'd known Waltz, and he came there because of his knowledge of Waltz. He was injured in an Indian attack at the Gross Lode, taken to his brother's ranch. Story sounds familiar. I think I've talked about this. And he recovered. He lived till, I believe it was 1869. and that's Jacob Weiss. Wisner is supposed to be a completely separate person, and that's supposed to be Waltz's partner down here. And I don't know. It's just kind of, it's weird. I think, he associated with all principally German people. Let's remember that. So because of his association with primarily German people, I think that creates a bit of a problem because all the names, I still think when Waltz was, you know, Waltz did his thing, is like he came over and we don't know with Swabian dialect and how he spoke. Did they hear him say Walsh or Walls? How did it sound when he said Waltz? And I'm sure it sounded very different, which is why there's derivatives of his name and stuff, Weisen, Weisner, and Weiser, and yeah. So I don't know. They say he had a partner whose name was Weiser or Weisner, and that's the guy supposedly that crawled off to the ranch down at down south. But then that story I feel very kind of suspect too, as well, that was Waltz's partner. Would help your channel if you could find the LDM. Well, why would I have a channel then? Just let's talk about what I'm doing with the money. Hey, it's really too bad you can't do the Dodge Trek anymore. Yeah, and I know you posted on that. And thanks, Jax. I really enjoy the glare right now, buddy. Thank you, boy. But yeah, the problem is just so multiple. I mean, when the Department of Agriculture moved the wilderness boundary on us and would not let us have the fireworks and firefall, that hurt. And there was a struggle. Then you have, you got to remember, Legend Drama has what? 8-10 actors. You need your lighting guys, your sound guys, your prop guys, everybody else. And you have to have the cook staff, and you have to have the hike trails. And you had, on the log hike, 5 or 6, 7 people. And I have the packets of all the people that the Dons work. So there was 40, 50 Dons. But there were 40, 50 people that helped the Dons, that were amigos and friends and associates. And then there was costs incurred. And then everybody back then would come out and say, this is a great event. Let's go do it for free. When it comes to the rendezvous now, it's hard to get people to do stuff. I won't say names, but there's been several people I've been, hey, would you come on out and give a talk, 20, 30 minutes. And they'll be like, well, I do it, $500 and this. And I'm like, no, we all do it for free. I've been doing it for free for 20 some odd years. Other people have done it and done It's like, no, it's about a love for the thing. And it's people are really weird. So they want to make money off of it. And I don't want to say their names, but yeah, there were people who would be interesting. I don't think they're must-see people, but I thought they were interesting people to put in for variety and things. And I was just kind of surprised, like, good luck to you. Talk to my manager. That was a couple people. Talk to my management. It's like, okay, well, I don't have a management, and I do quite well. So it's so many different things, reason we can't do it. Thank God it's Friday, busy week here. These mountains were Apache strongholds. Well, I don't know if they were strongholds. They could disappear running through there. I don't think there was Apache settlements all through the mountains, and that was the home of the Apache and so forth. I think it was because of the canyons and the way it associate with them. Which division, band of Apache? Well, they were in different tribes and stuff, and I would say it was the groups who were ever working in that area. Again, I think people are under the impression of the Apache they were very nomadic, but they were all over and through, and they had like these forts or something in there, and they didn't. The Hohokam had established villages and stuff through there. The Pima generally stayed around the foothills of the mountains and stuff, and associated with it, but the Apache used it because if they raided and they were getting chased or something, they could turn up into the mountains and come out some other way. They understood ways through the mountains. So that was a lot of it. There was Apache Rancheria up by Garden Valley. There wasn't a lot of them, though. They would, it was a good place to kind of hide out, but it wasn't a great place to live. Okay. Awesome channel. Thank you. Has the price of gold made you rethink some of the spots you come across? No, because wherever there's gold, there's gold. The same places I've always thought, and places I want to dig are always the same. It's not the price of gold that makes the difference to me. It's the ability and other things. But yeah, I never feel like, oh, well, you know, if I wonder if I knew what I knew now, and I was in my early 20s, if I would be a lot more anxious to dig or do certain things. Because it'd be like, oh, that would be so great to have all that money. Man, it is kind of dark on the screen. Didn't light me up very well, did it? But I get too much glare off that. I got to get these other lights working again. Hi, Marie. Okay. Sounds like fun for a festival. Nice, thank you. Okay, anyways, I talked to Frank this week, and Frank's doing well. He should be out there for the Treasure Hunt of the Year Awards, as will Robert Porch and Dallas Wright, I would hope, and Larry, and obviously Sir Duck. Sir Duck and his Queen Swan. There you go. As they travel and hurtle themselves across the Sonoran Desert to get here to go see Grandma. But yeah, that'll be nice Sunday. It'll be nice to see everybody, and I'm going to try to get out there a little early with things. I agree with you. People are really weird. Yeah, people are odd. People can be odd, and they can be even odder. Last Dutchman Rendezvous event speaker drama. Well, we've had. It's really funny because we've had people that called me 20 minutes before the guest speaker program to say, I'm not making it. We've had people the month before or just weeks before just change their mind and say, I'm kind of nervous about it. No, and I don't know. I don't want anybody throwing tomatoes at me. It's really, really weird. Sometimes the things that happen, we had one year Thomas Glover forgot to wake up and forgot to drive down and then called me an hour before the program was supposed to start. So I ran around everybody and talked to them, and we put together a guest speaker program for 4 or 5 of us, myself, Terry Carter, Mike McChesney, a bunch of us put things together and had a program, and it worked out well. And then the other year was James Simpson. James Simpson was going to be down, and he barely let me know. Said, yeah, I couldn't get a ride out. Could have called me the day before and let me know. Could have contacted someone. Yeah, so that killed out that. So it does happen. I mean, Bobby Hill. Back in the hellhole of Illinois for a few. What the hell are you doing there? My God, I didn't even know you left. I didn't even know you left town, Bobby. Now you're in Illinois? Man, you move about the country like Southwest Airlines. Do you think the federal government has too much say about state matters? No, I think they both have way too much say about matters they don't need to have their noses into. I think you got to remember, 200 and some odd years ago, federal government was very small. So its principle was certain things, standing army, certain things. The states kind of ran states differently, and if a state was poorly run, people would just go to a different state. So states tried to be fair, I would think, in some sense, to keep people there because they needed that economically. And now the reliability for so many people and so much on the federal government has thrown everything off completely. I think it's a mess. I think it's I don't want to get into politics. It's just everything's a mess because the states should have their state rights and the federal government should be cleared out. But then here's the problem with everything. What do you do with all those people that work for the federal government and state government that are unnecessary, which they are? Any favorite guitarists? Guitars look great. They're a little dusty in the back, I guess. But I'm a favorite guitarist. Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck. I'm a big fan of Peter Green. I'm a big fan of just so much. I love Buckethead. Um, I got a ton of Buckethead stuff. I love Prince. I like a lot of different players and different styles of players. So I'm a huge Gary Moore fan. I always was a little bit to the beat of my own drummer. I loved a lot of, of course, Page Beck, Clapton type stuff and all that. A lot of friends were really into Hendrix. I liked Hendrix. He wasn't a favorite. But it was really strange because I really listened to a lot of other guitarists that I thought were really cool. Alan Holdsworth, but like I said, Buckethead's another one. People that I thought were very, very, very talented, and I I think the people I liked the most were the people I really thought I can't ever play that well. What they do, you can try to imitate them, and you can't really imitate him. Jeff Beck is like almost impossible. Gilmore's so simplistic, but his just certain things he does is just so unique to him. Nobody does David Gilmour like David Gilmour. And so I ended up liking a lot of people like that. Peter Green was like that. Tom Collenborn said his chronicles that Bob Garman had purchased some LDM ore. How did he know? Because he was friends with Bob Garman. What about Slash? Old Saul Hudson. Good throwback guitarist of the days in the 70s and stuff when people didn't have to be technically perfect and just could play, because you miss that stuff. Now everybody wants to throw out guitar players and everything. Happy Friday, everybody. Yes, Beck. I know. Jeff Beck might have been the most incredible because there wasn't a lot there. It was anything he could pick up off the ground of a guitar and then just play it and weave them without effects. And he had a very unique tone style approach to playing, and he could do things. What was it? Richie Blackmore, who's a fantastic guitarist and so often forgotten on that list of great guitarists, once said Jeff Beck is unfair because he has notes and things that other people don't, which is kind of, if you listen to Beck, very unique. Not a popular public kind of player, but very unique into himself. And the weird part is he wasn't a guy that practiced or really worked at it. He just liked to work on cars and do other stuff, and then he'd pick up the guitar and do amazing things. There was just something unique about him. I need to think up. Been in the Tahoe for 22 hours. I need a drink. John Fogerty is a great guitar player. Steve. Now we're getting Joan Bonamassa. Okay, now we're getting kind of fading. The fade happens, but no, and it's just like music or anything you like. It's what you like. There's nothing bad. There is some terrible music out there, but if there's people that like it or appreciate it or find humor in it, then that's fine. I've met people that think Frank Zappa walked on water and was the greatest living embodiment of a musician and guitarist who ever lived. I like Zappa's stuff. It's interesting, but it's totally unique to his own style and mindset. It's not like avant-garde, pure genius that everybody should follow. It was purely Frank Zappa. And Zappa was absolutely brilliant, but you can't say he's the greatest musician because it was purely a Zappa thing. Leadbelly, there's one you threw out. Robert Johnson. I like Robert Johnson a lot. I like John Lee Hooker a lot. And there's Diamond's Son House, Charlie Patton, B.B. King, of course. All the Kings. B.B. King, Earl King, Albert King. There's a lot of Kings. Albert Collins. I love listening to a lot of those. So, but that's the thing, is you can be, I like technical stuff, I like this, I like that. George Winston is a brilliant guitarist. George Benson's a brilliant guitarist. So, Leif Erikson, well, that would be Alex Lifeson. Alex Lifeson of Rush, and he's a very good guitar, but he's also one of those that's unique to what he does. How did Tom Collenborn know what the LDM or looks like? because of descriptions of it and then the Matchbox, and there were some pieces of it. Not 80s kind of like that era thing. Randy Rhoads wasn't around very long. It was a Quiet Riot briefly, and then Ozzy for a couple albums, and then he's gone. So there's, to me, it's always like, you can't, that's yeah, a very unique tone. Tone does a lot for you to be recognized, but I was not really kind of, it was odd when everybody was going, aha, aha. I remember a famous moment in my life that a guy gave me a tape, and on one side was this new band he really wanted me to hear the guitar player for, and I listened to it, and I thought it was really good. And then I flipped it over and really loved the second side. First side was Van Halen's first album, Eddie Van Halen, and I thought it was really good. But what blew my mind was the second side was Cat Scratch Fever, and I thought the guitar tone on that other recording, a guy I'd never heard of, Ted Nugent, had the best guitar tone I'd really heard up to that point, where I was 13 or 14. I just could not believe the tone on his guitar playing. And so that just goes to show you, I was like, my head was somewhere else when I was listening to stuff. To me, it wasn't the flavor of the month. It was really, I loved hearing tone and what grabbed me. And they always say Eddie Van Halen brown noise. Nugent had brown noise before anybody else. Have you ever listened to Chinese Democracy? Yeah, I prefer Buckethead's solo stuff and all. It's okay. It's just too many people. God, there's just too much. It took too long and too many people and was way overthought. So I'm writing incorrectness or partial incorrectness. I think Paul McCartney and John Lennon were, and that's cool. Yeah, I think people like that stuff. Howlin' Wolf, Muddy Waters seem to be getting into that. But now we're getting away from the LDM stuff. So we're tooling along, and man, things are moving. But yeah, it's music is a thing of people's tastes, and people are always surprised of what I really like and how it plays in. Right now, this week, the two things I've been listening to the most is The Great Satan by Rob Zombie, which is a fantastic piece of music. Been very, very impressed with it, listening to that. It's like old school White Zombie type stuff. Very, very good. And then I'm trying to think of what was it, because I've been stuck on that quite a bit. And then I think the other thing was George Winston. So I listen to such weird kind of bounce around. And it's not because I need a mellow thing for the hard thing or this or that. I just kind of sit back and just go, what sounds good right now? And then I just jump into that. Yeah, okay. Somebody already mentioned it was Randy Rhoads. Jerry Garcia and the Scales of Grateful Dead. Keith Richards. Keith Richards is a strange player because he uses a different tuning and he takes off his one string. So he only plays with 5 strings and he uses a different tuning. So that's why nobody gets quite Keith Richards' sound. I can't remember what it is, but yeah, he has a different tuning and he drops, is it his E? I think he drops his low E, and that's how he plays, and it's very, very unique to him. So, but that's what creates kind of that Stone sound. Out in the ice cream stand with all the friends. That's okay. There we go. We got kind of way off into the music thing. Electric Light Orchestra. Jeff Lynne is good. I like Jeff Lynne. I liked El Dorado. Out of the Blue. Do like this stuff. That's like Alan Parsons' project to me. It's just very interesting, well written, arranged, produced music for good listening. Not something I would want to play. I've seen both Zombie and Manson with John 5. Well, they actually have Riggs back with them, the original guitarist from when Rob Zombie was going solo with Hellbilly Deluxe and Sinister Urge. That guitarist is back with him. It kind of sounds like that version of the band. It's pretty cool. Like I said, it's not everybody's taste then. Who was the guitarist for the Kinks? That was Dave Davies. Ray Davies played guitar and sang, but his brother was the guitarist. Ted Nugent, that hollow body. Hollow body. Yeah, he used the Gibson Birdlands. Because all the story was good this week. There we go. When I first started doing research. All you heard was Gonzalez Peraltas. Yeah, the Gonzalez stories, because I remember hearing the mix of them and how they were kind of in there, and I was always wondering the influence of it. But you had the Peralta family, and then the Gonzalez story with Adolph Ruth, and that mixture, and then there were isolated stories of members of the Gonzalez family coming to the Superstition Mountains, and that's Al Morrow and other people, and so I always liked, like, okay, it's a bit odd, but see, at first, because of the Adolph Ruth story, it was the Gonzalez family, and so then he went after the Peraltas, and then the Peralta story became the more headliner because that was supposed to be the family that Gonzalez has got the information for, and the Gonzalez family stuff. But again, it's like you're chasing Smith and Jones down, and that causes even more problems. I mean, it's so hard. It's like you come into entire towns and everybody's a Gonzalez or Peralta. Like I said, it's just too common. And while you do get you can hit some stuff, they didn't keep family records the same too. If you're looking for a Jacob up around Bend at the ice cream stand with his friends Sunday, what's okay? All right. I'll save one last thing about music. If I only had one. Stanley Brothers Bluegrass. Okay, there you go. Rest, stop, break. The last couple hours seem to last the longest. Stop, break. Let's go. It's like the wind down. Yeah, I know. It's like, what's even worse is that last, it says like, you're 20 minutes from town, and you're like, okay, we're 20 minutes from there. And then you keep looking down, and it's like, okay, we're 19 minutes. Okay, it's been 5 minutes. Oh, we're 17 minutes still. Shit. I used to get that going into Flag, is the drive would just go by like that. And then I would be about 10, 15 minutes out of town, and that was like an hour of like, why does it seem to be taking so long to get in? Because usually I had to pee, I wanted something to drink. And yeah, but I didn't have somebody with me a lot of times. I was usually by myself. Okay, I realize I should very well know. But where exactly is Superstition? It's east of Phoenix. It's east of Phoenix. You got to be central. And then Phoenix. And you go east of Phoenix, and there's the Superstition Mountains. They kind of are the eastern boundary. The western boundary would be the White Tanks, South Mountain, and the Sierra Estrellas will be on the south side of Phoenix. And then to the north, you got the Bradshaws in one section, and then Cave Creek and those areas up to the northeast. So, and there's mountains kind of in town like Camelback and Piestewa Peak and some smaller mountains. But it's east. East. The Superstitions are east. And then just north of them, the divide, you have the Scottsdale Mountain Divide, which comes down, and then you go out through between them and the Superstitions out towards Fort Peaks. I'm sure that's confusing. Been a long ass drive for sure. I'm an Eastern. Just think of how much fun it's going to be to go back. I know those Gila monsters are crazy. Okay. Jay Mitchell of AJ. So you're the Jay Mitchell that plays music that knew Tom. Are you that Jay Mitchell that used to wear the red, white, and blue shirts and perform at the Don's Treks? Are you then, sir, Mr. Jay Mitchell? Because I'd like you to perform or do a song or something at the Rendezvous, like the song you and Tom wrote, which I have a 45 for up on the shelf right over here. Are you that Jay Mitchell? Are you a different Jay Mitchell? I don't know. You're not answering. Papago. Okay, Papago. Is there any providence for the Matchbox other than Brownie Holmes? No. Several people think different ore was used for it because it looked better than the greenish hued other stuff. Tohono O'odham. Okay, Robert, learn. You should know this by now. Papago means bean eater. Tohono O'odham means that's those people. Okay, so Papago is bean eater. It's probably the worst name that we associated with a tribe that was pretty insulting. And yeah, so Mr. J, huh? But he's not answering. So then we scared him off. He came in and he was there, and it was like we've shown footage of him. I got a thing right here on my table. This is a disc. That's the Don's Trek Legend thing, and I have Don's collection of photos of him performing and stuff. And yes, but yes. Jay Mitchell of A. So I caught that. So I don't know if he's a fan or Les Paul, he's saying. So he said earlier, said Les Paul. So maybe he just drifted off that I was ignoring him, but I caught it. But yes, there's 3. I have 4 or 5 Les Pauls. Just 3 on the wall. Ho ho, come if you're going to be, if we're going to get political. Well, it's not politically correct. It's like saying, oh, I'm from Irish descent. And someone refers to you as like, a potato digger or so. I don't know. It's a slang word for those people. And they don't like it being used. It's still used so much. Papago Park and so many places. But I have friends that are Tohono O'odham, and they just go like, it's never going to go away. They fix everything else, but for the Tohono O'odham, no, let's not fix it. Which, I know, it's too much fixing. I kind of agree on that. We try to do too much fixing. Oh, nice. Thank you, bud. Okay. Well, I was in Arizona when actually 2 weeks, the Painted Desert area. Okay, that was up very northeast in this state. And Arizona from the east, Albuquerque, Gallup, New Mexico. Oh, there he is. Okay. Not Jay, just supporting his music. Oh, okay. All right. Well, okay. Man, I had a moment of excitement of going, hey, I think he's still alive, and I know he probably can't play. He might not play very well. He's got to be old. I think, God, he's got to be around 80 or something. Anyways, I was like, man, that'd be so cool. Because I probably had met him, but I was just for years and years thinking, man, that'd be cool for the rendezvous, is have someone, especially play that song, whatever that song was that they released. Oh, well, I had my moment there. Got to 111 when I left, degrees when I left. There you go. Well, that's not unusual. How did Jacob's gold mine for you? It's my own. What? How did Jacob's gold mine for you? It's my own design. What? I don't know what you just said. And I'm not that tired. There are just sometimes, Steve, what you say makes no sense. But thank you for coming. All right. So anyhow, so we found not Jay Mitchell, even though his name is Mr. J. Yeah, that was just awkward. All right. Anyways, I almost got up to go get the 45. Be like, hey. So there we are. We're starting to wind down. It's warm in here, man. I am sweating. So I am a bean picker. I guess I love the Hills American Ninja. People remember that one. Okay. Robert, what you got to drink after work today? Meet Steve Wiggins. 221 degrees after. Yeah, it gets hot. It gets hot. We deal with it. I've been here when it's been probably the hottest days ever in Phoenix, and I worked in it those days. If I remember correctly, every time it was up above 118, 117, 118, I was working. So it was like, man, it seemed hot today. And then, but we never went home. That's the weirdest thing I noticed. We never went home. They'd be like, yeah, it's really hot out there, and then we'd find out, oh shit, get home and couldn't feel the heat come off of you. It's just hot. I mean, there's a point where it's just hot, and then it's too hot. I give up. It never comes out right. Well, I try, but yeah, if I read it 3 times and I don't understand it, I don't know how to answer it if it is a question in the form of a question. So sorry, Steve. And it gets confusing because unlike, there's Shane, who's impatient with his wife. Just random throw himself in there. Anytime soon, I'm expecting to see something else. It's like a puppet show. But the point being is I have randomly, last week we had And the live, when we shut it down, the 198 people it looked, or 189 or 198. Fuck the dyslexia. So that's how many people, and then you got to figure, I don't know, I've never tried to count of how many people have commented through the thing. So there's a lot of people that repetitively comment and mention things, but it's like number of different conversations you're trying to follow, and then people coming in and putting things in as we go, and it is very confusing. It is like juggling cats, like standing on hot coals. I miss these lives. Yes, I'm sure you guys are cracking up. It's just kind of trying to work it out. And there's Shane just popped in now with Wiggins is back. I will do Jacob Goldmine at the rendezvous. Oh, you would do the talk. Okay, is that what you're trying to say? You would do a presentation. You'd have to contact me and tell me what your presentation is going to be, and that would be the first and foremost. And then we schedule it. We have one guest speaker set, one other guest speaker invited that we're waiting to hear from, and that's it. And we usually like 3 or 4 people to speak, so there is openings. So, Gorell is laughing. Okay, well, they're good for you, Shane. Shane, I always say you're a really nice guy. You always have a great attitude. I don't think Larry's here anymore, but there's people that always have a problem with you, and I always say, Shane's a really nice guy. He's always been a super nice guy. He comes up with a big smile, and even if you're like have a completely different viewpoint of his or whatever, he still leaves smiling and kind of upbeat. So I always do say that about you. That's one thing nobody can take away from you. Don't change that, because that's probably the most redeemable character thing you have. It's Wiggins, Wayne Tuttles. Yes, I know. Wiggin Wade, I don't understand. Usually I'm bartending, but I'll be drunk tonight. Now that is a t-shirt. Usually I'm bartending, but I'll be drunk tonight. There you go. I'm sure Little Sir Duck is so happy to hear that. Me too. Oh, okay. Thank you. No problem, Shane. We've always gotten along. It's, all my best people are a little off kilter, right? So, and to Bob Wards and the Wards and the Bobs and the Wards and whatnot, we're coming down to the end of times. Not the end of times like the end of the world, because we will get to the Treasure Hunter of the Year award, but the end of this broadcast. So there we are. There's Robert Porch. I don't drink anymore. I had a few Bob's and Mr. War. It's fine to have a drink. It's not fine if you make it a problem. Now people are trying to message me. And why? Well, okay, it's nothing to be concerned about. I always find that odd, is I've tried to more and more and more and more to let everybody that knows me. And you know what's funny? People that have known me for 20, 30 years. And they're very aware of what I think they're aware of what I do. Because I don't have an ego about it. I just mention it of like, hey. And there was someone that was like, who I know, who comes from the musical industry. And we discuss a lot of stuff about music and production and engineering and stuff. And we always talk. And the other day I told him, yeah, I didn't get back to you. I couldn't get back to you at all because I was in the middle of the podcast. And I've told him I do a podcast, this and other things. And it's really funny. He's like, oh, you do a podcast? And I'm like, geez, man, you're my friend. You should kind of have some awareness of what I do. So what is the podcast about? I felt like telling him about cat grooming or something, But it's like, yeah, it's Superstition Mountains. Oh, that sounds cool. I might listen to it sometimes. Thanks for your support. Any peyote growing in the Emerson? Well, you don't grow peyote grows. Peyote grows on peyote cactuses. So, and it's in. So I don't know if I've ever run into many wild peyote areas to gather the superstitions, and I don't think I'd tell anybody because it's a very dangerous drug. A button this big. Because there's no such thing as understanding dosage of peyote. And because of that, you could take half of that button and trip your lights out. You could take half that button and get a mild buzz, like nothing really, and you could take that full button and die. And there's a lot going on there, and you don't want people to kind of, yeah, because I've walked by it other places, cat grooming, and I've seen it, and I just don't point it out to people. But it's a very small little cactus. It has the buttons, and a certain time of year you go gather. I knew someone that used to gather because there's kind of a church, peyote church group that they're I don't know if they're really Christian, but they do the whole peyote thing, and yeah, so. All right, I was just thinking a famous guitarist. Page was he was a session player for many, many years. Happy Friday, Super Buggy. It's cat grooming, just the random shit we talk about. Cat grooming today on Legends Live. Cat grooming, most random crap ever. It's my phone. Sorry, goodbye. Sorry, Steve. Yeah, it's your phone. So do you do like voice and the phone's doing the voice problem thing? Is it the voice or is it the typing or is it... Okay, anyways, goodbye. Have a good time. We'll see you next week and stuff and whatever. All right, so I don't mean to be dismissive. I just mean to be trying to catch up and catch everybody before we go here in the next few minutes. So, and as I have a couple drinks, yeah. A shirt. What? A shirt. Oh, okay, going back. See, yeah, that's that problem I'm talking about. It's like, glad I made it to the live in an Arizona. Well, you see, you got to be here in Arizona at a live. Yeah, so you were in the same state time zone as the live at the same time. There you go. And then, see, but you should have saved it. You could have listened to it later, and it could have put you to sleep. See, that's more important. But, hey, that's what Mysteries is for. Mystery, the Superstition Mountains. Go catch them. Catch some shut-eye. I've fallen and I can't reach my beer. That was on a t-shirt in the 80s. Okay. NES. I don't even... NES. Steve. We are just... Yeah, Glenn. Now Glenn's jumping on the cat grooming advice. Medium shirts still available. Now, the best thing about cats is if you don't own one, you don't have to mess with them. There you go. I don't have cat problems. I don't even have dog problems today. I guess it is too warm in here because he was messing about, and I don't even see them laying around. I think they all went down the hall, found a cool, dark room. And no Trevor either. Usually Trevor comes bounding through these doors by this time. Funny stuff tonight. Don't always want it to be funny. Sometimes it is. Still, Wayne is the best. Can someone put at least a feral cat on a feral cat and see how it works out? I got feral cats plenty. I have security cameras, and I get to watch the feral cats all night because they just set off cameras like crazy. I think it's some sort of Chinese propaganda thing to keep me awake at night because they just go from one car to the other, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I'm just like, these stupid cats. Yeah, and then I go out and I'll light a cigarette and stand there and look at them, and then they just stand there and look back at me, and then they slowly walk off, and I'm like, okay, put out my cigarette, go in the house, lay down, on and off, because they're just going to start back and forth. They never get on the vehicles or anything, nothing like that. They like just walking. It's just literally between the vehicles, back and forth underneath. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know why they do this and why they torture me. So, all right. Is it possible to have a mountain lion as a pet in Arizona? You really shouldn't, because some animals are just wild. I knew someone, I've had hybrids, but someone that had an actual wolf, a Mexican wolf, smaller size wolves. And the dog was very timid, shy, and had a lot of problems being around people, would just pee itself. They're very, very very different. They're not real. They don't become domesticated and get around easy. I knew someone that had a coyote, and she wanted to get rid of the one dog, and the coyote dog was a pretty okay guy, but he had problems because they never completely lose that side. There's just something different that's instinctively forever bred to them. So you don't know what's going to happen, and so to me it's like it's something best, and they're very powerful animals, so that would be a bad thing. We are getting in and out of mountains, losing service. We will see you all. Okay, see ya. Have fun, David and Lacey. We will see you Sunday. As mescaline can make you really sick, it can make you really messed up, and it could cause people to have problems if they don't have someone kind of like guiding them, because it's definitely, for the most part, you're going to be just out of it and just like talking to the side of a tree, but there is problems in there. You know, you think you're walking through clouds in the mountains, and yes, you're just basically, face planted in the dirt. Your head's somewhere else. You're gonzo. Hey, Jax, I was talking about you guys were outside. It's hot out there. Hey, it's hot out there. Thanks for doing the blinds again. I'm gonna come up with something better for the lighting. There you go. Yes, good boy. He's such a good boy. Thanks, Wayne. Have a great week. Well, everybody. Oh, there's Larry. Thank you, Wayne. Look forward to, I guess he was just quietly sitting there, seeing people at dinner Sunday. Have you tried eating rattlesnake? Yes, I've eaten rattlesnake several times. I don't want to. I didn't think it was that good. It was, someone cooked it up for me, and then I cooked it for someone else. I know there was the two instances. Someone else killed a real fat boy and cooked it up. I ate some of it, and then I think it was rattlesnake stew, and then I did it myself later for someone else who was totally, and I was like, okay, I'll just do that for them, because they were just like, oh, now there's a place off of the I-17, the Black Canyon, that serves like Cajun foods and stuff like that, alligator and stuff, but they serve rattlesnakes. So I tell people, just go there and get it rather than kill a snake. Bigfoot, not Bugfoot. Okay. Y'all have a great weekend. Thank you, Wayne. You're Wayne Tuttle, and I'm not. Dennis out. Well, Dennis is out. I don't understand the Bigfoot thing. Bigfoot. Tastes like chicken? I didn't think so. I don't know. Depends what you think chicken tastes like. I don't know what the Bigfoot thing was. I don't see anything about Bigfoot. I don't know where the Bigfoot dropped in. Was it something to do with the feral cats and mountain lions and other things? Try gator tail. Well, there we are. 2 wives and sweethearts. May they never meet. Thanks for Bob Cheers. Rawhide, back in the days. Yeah, old Rawhide. Because they still have Rawhide. It's just down on the res, down south now. They moved it. And it's not quite the same Rawhide as it once was. Better than chicken, in my opinion. Okay, Robert Porch, who actually dons once or twice, I think twice, we had the annual Christmas dinner at Rawhide for the Dons of Arizona. So there's that. Never know when we'll go back. But it's not the same Rawhide as it was, or Pinnacle Peak. Nothing's the same, And plus, that's the problem with the memories of things like that, because you can say Apache Land was so wonderful, Big Surf was so wonderful. You can say Legend City was so wonderful, and then if you were transported back into it, you'd look around and go, I don't know why I have such great memories of this place. So, yeah. Better than the chicks. Okay, no superstitions. Oh, Bigfoot in the mountain. I don't know how he would survive. One, he'd be big and show up everywhere. The other problem is, what is he eating? I don't know. He's Bigfoot. It's, mountain lions have a tough time with the bighorn sheep and stuff. I don't know. Bigfoot. I don't know. What's he eating? And there's very little water at times. I mean, you would think he would be spotted about the house, around the houses, around the outskirts and stuff, because of lack of water and food and other things. He'd have to exist first too. So for that to happen. But we won't even go there. That'd be a whole nother thing. And next week on Live, we'll get into Bigfoot grooming. Yeah, sorry Lacey and David missed this, but yeah, next week we'll get into the grooming of your Bigfoot, the best shampoos and conditioners to use for them, and your care of your Bigfoots and your Littlefoots. All right, that being said, I was just thinking, is Archuleta Mesa kind of close to Superstition Mountains? I don't think so. Were you thinking of Archuleta Mesa, or there's Bigfoots in the Superstition? Because that's, yeah, you think like me, which is not something to be proud of at the moment. So there, I hope everybody had a good time, except for Steve Wiggins, who had to bail on us because it was his phone problems. I think he's trying to chat in this using his phone, and that doesn't work. I will tell you this, the best thing you can ever do is if you don't have a laptop, work off of a desktop. Don't do it off your phone, because nothing works. And it's the most secure thing you can get. You can get the firewalls and stuff set in and be safe here on the desktop, where everything else is much more problematic. Believe it. Take it to the bank. I just finished watching that first season. Oh, okay. I didn't know what the first season of what was, because we've been talking about so many things. All right. We have Appalachia. We can talk about that next week if you join us next week, because we're wrapping up right now. We have the Appalachian Mountains version of Bigfoot. Wouldn't he be Bigfoot just in the Appalachian Mountains? I would think. My dad was from Appalachia, and he was a hillbilly. Lived in the hollow, and the relatives are buried on the hill behind in the rocky soils and stuff. Had a pet gopher. He had a pet dog, but my uncle ran it over, so then he ended up with a pet gopher that lived in the house till he started eating through the walls. I hear you. We listening and judging. Don't judge us. Don't judge us. You should never judge someone. You should just be humored by it, let it go, and just sleep comfortably. Well, Dave and Lacey get in safely. I can't even remember where we started. We started with Terry, and then I believe Lacey. They were the first two people in, and I'm trying to think of who was the next person in. They were like, yeah, so I don't know who's left from, but yes, we probably ran most everybody off with just the absolute ridiculousness of what our program was today. See, we had a series of programs that were just so good and so serious, and they went by like crazy. And now today I'm going, what the hell has happened? Do I need to have a cheat sheet here to get things back on topic and whatnot? Because we were a little bit of a mystical mess, and we'll see. We'll see what the numbers are once I kick on out of here. But anyways, Treasure Hunt of the Year Awards Sunday. Join us. You don't have to eat. You can just come in and listen in. Join us, talk to us, have a good time. There should be a load of Dutch hunters and very associated people with us. Looking forward to it. About 5 o'clock, we'll be all gathered together and do the award ceremony. Should be done pretty early, well enough. But even then, we like to sit around and kind of sit out there and have it chatted up and have a good time. That being said and done, I also have a lecture at the Superstition Mountain Museum. If nothing else, or any other issues and whatnot in here, there, and then, come out for that lecture. I will be the final lecture in the series. It will be on Jacob Waltz. It'll be a good time. Not as humorous as this type of thing, but it will be a nice talk. And that will be the talk. I will probably stop doing that talk. But unless other things come up and change that talk, I will pick up next week, yes, with the cat grooming, Bigfoot grooming, and associated other items. So there, I'm going to stop streaming here in a moment. So I got a grocery pickup, I got dinner, I got a lot going on. And then, of course, Sunday I got that other thing. So there you go. Enjoy. Have a great weekend. Have a great next week. Catch Chasing Legends on Monday. If Bigfoot was real, why we find that? Okay, we don't need to get into Bigfoot discussion. We will talk definitely Monday. Chasing Legends will be Bigfoot and feral cat grooming. That will be our special. 3 of you will watch it. It will get 11 views, and it will kill the channel. There you go. All right. What is supposed to be the thing about the rise? What? What's the supposed curse? Mountains. in TV shows. Well, they like curses because people curse people. And curses is something that people listen to. It's like anything. It doesn't have to make sense for it to kind of like be that throwback thing that people think, oh, Curse of Oak Island. We were Curse of the Superstitions, and then they changed our name. Because it was supposed, I've said this before, it was supposed to be Curse of Oak Island, Curse of Superstition Mountains, Curse of the Frozen Gold. All the shows, they changed our name because our show was too different from the other shows. So they reframed ours. Okay. Found a giant skull. There's Shane. Shane popping in there. He found a giant skull to fasten to the mountain. Bring it Sunday. Bring the giant skull Sunday to the treasure hunter meeting, and we will have a good time drinking from the giant skull that Shane found up in the Superstition Mountains. We will leave it at that. Hopefully Shane shows up with a giant skull. I'd like to see this. We will take pictures and share. All right. Thank you, everybody. We will give you a report next week on how the award ceremony went. Until then, be at peace with one another. Enjoy life. Have a great weekend. Have a great week. And we will catch you next Friday here on Legends Live. Have a good night. Adios, amigos.